Welcome, everybody. This is Small Business Essentials. We do it every Tuesday. My name is Zach Olson, and I'm the project manager of classes and coaching here at the Iowa Center. A couple quick notes before we get started. One, we are recording so that we can share this with our friends who couldn't be here in person today. And two, if you have any questions, comments, requests, anything you want to share that's on your mind, go ahead and use the chat or the Q&A function right down here at the bottom of your screen. I'll be monitoring that throughout. We'll stop and answer questions about relevant information as they come in, and we'll leave a little extra time at the end for general Q&A. Okay, so today we're going to talk about SEO, search engine optimization. How do you crack the algorithm and get your website onto that coveted first page of search results? We're going to talk about specific steps you can take today towards a better search engine optimized web presence. That's a mouthful. Joining us today to talk about all that is Andi Fagen, founder of Creative DSM Digital and Social Marketing. After graduating a cyclone in Ames, she spent time in Los Angeles developing digital marketing plans for startups, then moved all the way across the country to Miami to work as a creative director for a consumer technology company. Andi's goal is to leverage creative marketing strategies to educate the community about the impact of optimized search engine content, email marketing, and social media management. So Andi, here we are again. Great to have you back. It's been a little while. I'll turn it over to you.
All right, awesome. So first of all, of course, shout out to Zach and the Iowa Center for diligently working on programming to help Iowa businesses prosper and grow. It's a privilege to be asked to present. So what are we going to talk about today? SEO, which stands for search engine optimization, or how to get noticed online. Search engine optimization is all about gaining links to your website to bring visitors in to stay for a certain time and guide them through a buyer's journey. So here is an overview of my 2021 SEO tips, which we'll dive into throughout this presentation. Number one is to befriend the search engine. Number two is to make a plan. Number three is to stop making marketing about you. Number four is to build it so that they will come, but don't forget to promote it. Number five is to stop the automated digital overload. And number six is to always look local first. So who is Creative DSM? My name is Andi Fagen, as Zach introduced, founder and creative director of Creative DSM. As a native of Urbandale, I graduated from Iowa State in 2009. And went out to Los Angeles right after graduation. I spent 4 years out there doing design and digital marketing for a startup fashion brand, and then moved to the other coast doing digital marketing in Miami. After the birth of our 3.5-year-old, we decided that it was time to come back to Iowa, which was when Creative DSM started working with local businesses here in Iowa to get them noticed online. Our goal is to strive not to be a success, but rather to be of value. We are an analytics-driven local business to help Iowa thrive. So how can we help? These are the key pain points that bring clients into our door. Number one, we don't have enough time to stay up to date on marketing trends, and that's where we provide marketing as a service. My website is out of date and doesn't help my workflow. Well, we can come up with a plan of action and make a silent salesperson from your digital presence. Number three, I'm just throwing money at paid ads and hoping for the best. Well, let's optimize those and talk about the channels. And then number four is my competitors are beating me to get noticed online. So then let's just get some organic growth going. So that leads us to SEO tip number one, which is to befriend the search engine. You have to play fair, play nice, but keep in mind that you're always playing to win. Let's talk about the different search engines that your business can be a part of. When most of us think of search engines, we think of Google. While it might be the most well-known, there are other platforms that you may not be considering as a search tool, but are absolutely places that you want to be putting your best foot forward. In this slide, I've kind of grouped them into three main categories and listed out some of the top platforms. Of course, there are plenty of others and a few platforms that really fit in all categories. As you see, I put the Google and YouTube is actually in all three categories. So the goal of today is to discuss where your time is best spent and how to hack your way into the most results-oriented tasks. So let's talk about what each platform type wants. Number one, each one of these platforms wants their top goal is to be the most visited platform, because the more people that they get there, the more market share they hold and the better argument they have for ad dollars. How do they get to be the most visited platform? By providing the best results to consumers as they search. They're not necessarily worried about pleasing the people that are spending the ad dollars. They're most concerned with pleasing the end user, which is the person that you're also targeting. That's why your cost per click can vary greatly from competitors within the same space. Quality score is a top priority when it comes to search engines. And to dive a little bit further into that explanation, they want to make sure that your keywords are as close to an exact match so that what people are searching, they're actually clicking on into your ad. They want to measure your click-through rate and make sure consumers are following through and staying on your page after clicking. So there are multiple factors of how your quality score rates against your competitors. And that's what I'm referring to when I talk about quality score. This is why you can't just buy top of page results. There is something that decides, hey, this person might be paying a little bit less, but they are the top search end result because it's actually the most relevant result to this keyword. So that is their end goal, to be the end consumer's best platform. This is also the reason why I say paid ads like Google ads, Facebook ads, Instagram, they're not for everyone. You need to make sure that you have a quality organic content as well, so that you're not paying so much for that click. Again, I go back to the goal of today is to discuss where your time is best spent and how to hack your way into the most results-oriented tasks. So, are there hacks? Here is my multi-channel kind of hack to stay in. For web search results, sign up for Google My Business. It is a free platform. You can get there by actually Googling Google My Business. Sign up, you'll get a postcard in the mail, and it's completely free, and it's a way to be able to respond to Google reviews and actually get Google reviews. It's a way to post content onto there, and then always make sure that you load up either your products or services within there, because that's going to give some pings to Google saying, hey, they want to rank for this because this is what they're actually selling. Not always, like, your brand name doesn't always say exactly what you do, and that's the reason why you want to list your products and services. But the next step within sign up for Google My Business is to actually use the Bing plugin as well. So Bing Places is Bing's version of Google My Business. And if you go to Bing Places, they will actually just plug into your Google My Business and feed all that information over. So it's a hack so that you're not spreading yourself too thin, and you're making sure that you're on both platforms. Because one thing, especially if you are a B2B seller, you want to make sure that you're active on Bing, because Bing is the search engine that is most likely loaded onto those computers that mass buyers of computers are using. Another hack is to keep a keyword list beside your computer. Keep in mind what you want to rank for. Make sure that you are adding that into your copy every single time. Make sure that you're loading it behind your actual images, naming them with those keywords, and make sure that you're always trying to find a way to talk about that. Now, don't talk about it like you're a computer. Don't always just randomly push that keyword into there. But anytime that you can use that keyword or a synonym, you're going to want to make sure that you are being relevant that way. And the next hack for the web search is to make sure that you check your analytics often. So Google Analytics is a free platform that you can plug into all websites to make sure that you can figure out how many web visitors are coming, how long they're staying on, if they're bouncing, what are the most visited pages, so that you can identify opportunities not only to improve your website, but also if people are searching for a certain product that you're not putting a lot of ad dollars into, or you're not putting a lot of effort into, you might learn a little bit about what your customer is actually looking for. And then finally, the last hack when it comes to web search is to get more links pointing to your site. So backlinks are an important factor when it comes to SEO, because basically backlinks are links to your website on another website. And you can think of it kind of as a root system. The deeper the links go, the more supported your website is. So you want to make sure that you have multiple websites that are pointing to your website in order to get your end result. So that's a reason why a lot of people join chambers of commerce, for instance, is they have lots of backlinks already pointing to their site. And then when you sign up for a chamber of commerce, you get a link to your site as well. So it's a really good way to establish your backlink strategy. For social media, number one is to engage often. Make sure that you are speaking on there. Now, I wouldn't say that that's multiple times a day, especially if you're under 10K followers. You will come off a little bit spammy. So you want to make sure that you're talking about, you're posting relevant content, not just posting to post. But at the same time, you want to make sure that you are actually visible on that site. So the next point is a little bit controversial. It's always preferred and suggested to have a separate strategy per platform, because your visitors on one platform aren't necessarily the same visitors on another. So it's not always as easy as just plugging it in and copying and pasting it over to the other platform. But at the same time, when all else fails, you should reuse. So you've already made the content, just make sure that you can use it in different ways. The next one is to create relevant content that creates interaction. So you want to be posting on there, asking for people's opinions or doing contests, any type of humor that relates for people to actually hit the like button, for people to actually share, for people to actually comment on it. But mostly to keep people on the site, because one of the things that you don't want to do when you're on these social platforms is have too many links off the site, right? So a lot of people just say, here's my service, schedule here, and it's a link to your website. If Facebook or Instagram or LinkedIn, if they notice that you're just posting things to drag people off of their platform, they're not going to necessarily promote your content to be the first one seen, because they want people to stay on their platform. More people on their platform, longer people on their platform means more ad dollars for them. So just keep that in mind. At the same time, you want to make sure that there are links to your website. So it's a little bit of a balance there. And then finally, for e-commerce hacks, I say again, keep keywords relevant. So keep that list that's beside your computer. Make sure that you're always talking about it. Make sure that you're naming images that way. And make sure that you are focusing on things that you actually want to be found for. Get great descriptions and explain store policies clearly. Because there's nothing worse than people researching your product and not necessarily being able to tell exactly what it is, so they don't end up purchasing. This is a big one for Amazon. On Amazon Seller Central, they want to make sure that you plug in all of the details, including the size charts, the materials chart, where it was made. They want to be as clear as possible because there is an overload of fakes out there, to be honest. So they want to make sure that client success stories are a big thing. So the clearer that you can be so that your return level is low, the better. Another one is to get clicks with engaging images and video. So make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. We all know that these platforms are very visual when it comes to e-commerce. So when we're talking Etsy, Amazon, even Facebook Marketplace, Google Shop, all of those, you want to make sure that people are actually clicking through. And then finally, you want to create links to the shop on other platforms. So for instance, I have a website that sells on Shopify, but I also sell on Amazon Central. And what I actually want to do is I want people to check out on Amazon, because then I don't have to ship. I don't have to worry about the logistics of it. So what I do is I actually have lots of links to my Amazon Prime shop on my website. And yes, I know that I'm giving away margin, but your time is worth something too. So just be watching the prices there and making sure that that makes sense. Plus, there's a lot more trust when it comes to buying on these larger platforms such as Amazon, Etsy, that kind of thing, rather than buying on just a regular website. Okay, so now that we have an overview of the search engines, let's dive a little bit deeper into the how of SEO. My SEO tip number 2 is to make a plan. Let's face it, in 2020, this turned most of our businesses upside down. Plans were thrown out the window, and lots of businesses cut their marketing budgets, or worse, threw money at a problem that they didn't know how to solve. So my second tip is to create a plan, but to also have backups. This year, I want to challenge you to stop making 2020 an excuse and come up with a plan. We all know that content is key, and it's also very time consuming. So to make it attainable, trackable, but most of all, flexible, let's set some goals for your marketing and then look back in next January and see how successful you are. I actually just hired my first business coach this year to help me focus and keep track with these plans. So I'd be happy to give you a contact to set up a free 30-minute assessment with Accelerate Action Coach. Just email me or message me on social if you want to talk with them. But that goes to my promotional calendar. So what I do, and this is what I do with my clients, is I plan out the marketing. I want to challenge you to fill out a full year of a marketing calendar. This allows you to measure success by comparing growth within a certain focus, and also allows you to prepare for themes. But most of all, it's a roadmap of how you're going to get there. So pro tip is to follow the analytics. While I'm suggesting you to fill out this full year, make sure it's flexible, follow the analytics. And by the way, if you're not diving into your analytics at least every 3 months, for those of you that aren't marketers, then this is the year to fix that. We learned the importance of pivoting in 2020. Now let's apply those skills based on performance. So while you might fill out this full year, you want to make sure that you can change it if you're noticing that users are dropping off. And then let's talk about hacks when it comes to this. Once you finish this calendar, then it's time to batch. Batching allows you to keep a cohesive message, keep your intentions on track, and quite honestly saves you time, especially if you're not a professional marketer, which I believe most of you on here are small business owners wearing multiple hats, including marketing. I like to be at least a month ahead of time with my basic social scheduling, blog content, and email marketing. Of course, relevant news or posts can be sprinkled in, but batching allows you to make sure your voice is out there with an intention. So my suggestion on helping you batch is also to take photos all at once. There are plenty of subscriptions out there or local photographers that will offer subscriptions for your social content, that will come to your office, take product photos, headshots, office landscapes, basically overall social assets to use. You keep them in a folder, and then you apply them to a blank template for starting all over. So also another batching tip is I am happy to send over this blank template to you in an email in order for you to have a starting format for your monthly calendar. There are also plenty of scheduling apps out there where you can plug in your content into multiple channels at once. My favorite is Loomly. There's also Sprout Social, Hootsuite, and many more. So it's always trying to find a way to automate, but not over automate. So SEO tip number 3, do I need to take any breaks? Any questions going on? Okay, everything is looking okay over here. All right. So tip number 3 is to stop making marketing about you. So this one is also just a little bit controversial. While it's true that storytelling has a place in your marketing strategy, you need to find the right story. We need to stop making marketing about you. It's not about your story. Marketing is about educating your client on a solution that you can provide to a problem that they have, and then taking it to the next level to educate them on advocacy for this solution. So the key to making marketing into education rather than storytelling is understanding your conversion journey. So for those of you that have a business and have dove into marketing at all, you're probably aware of the buyer's journey, the conversion journey, just the fact that there are steps that it takes in order to close a client. You're not going to be able to just propose on the first day and get them to convert. What you need to do is slow drip campaigns and meet them where they're at. So the main focus here is to value the customer pathway. Number 1, gain attention by educating your audience that a problem exists. You can achieve this through SEO, like how-to blogs, social media posts, presenting in a webinar, seminar, or even maybe being a guest on a podcast. Next, you go to the consideration phase. And here is where you need to educate your potential clients about your solution and your unique selling proposition. Speak to the benefits and the transformation that you can provide. For instance, my unique selling point is that I market based on search engine optimization. There are other firms out there that focus on beautiful design or face-to-face strategies or even event attendance. I focus on getting people in your door that are actively looking for your product or services. I actually am not a sales marketer where you pitch to potential clients. So again, if you have a USP, go ahead and drop it in the chat, just in case there's somebody on this webinar that can benefit from your unique selling proposition. If you don't know yours, I do have a free download on my site that helps you formulate how to speak about your unique selling point. Next is to actually educate them on how to purchase. Focus on strong calls to action and make sure they understand the process. I had a client once that we noticed consumers were dropping off at a page that we thought would be a closer. Turns out our call to action was too confusing and didn't guide them on how to actually check out. Which, by the way, I challenged you earlier to check your analytics more this year. We pivoted really fast last year and mistakes were made. So a great tip is to actually follow through and check to make sure that your checkout process is seamless. A great tip here is to add a video to your landing page, email, or social that explains the process, especially if you have a semi-confusing purchase journey. Next, educate your consumer on your service or the use of the product. Follow up and ask how they're doing and give instructions on use. And finally, we all know that keeping a customer is less expensive than finding a new one. So focus on loyalty. Educate them about the further benefits or other offers that you have, and turn a one-time customer into a loyal customer. Then educate them on how they can advocate on your behalf. So the theme here is to focus on education. You're in your business every day, you get lost in the jargon. So simplify your wording, ask for test groups, and watch your analytics. And as you learn this yourself, then educate your audience. In other words, stop making marketing about you and make it about the consumer. So, SEO tip number 4 is that e-commerce needs a strategy. So the old build it so they will come isn't necessarily true if you forget to promote it. So e-commerce isn't going anywhere. Last year, we were forced to pivot online, but this year, we focus on developing an e-commerce strategy into a long-term strategy. Many people can agree that this was a forced pivot, but it was also a great learning experience to push us to develop new strategies. So let's talk about how to use e-commerce. E-commerce is more than just an online boutique. We tend to think of Shopify, Etsy, Squarespace, even Facebook Marketplace. These are all great and they're not going anywhere. I currently have successful shops running on Amazon Seller Central, Etsy, Shopify, WordPress, Facebook, Instagram, and Squarespace. So I'm happy to sit down and talk to you about your current platform if you have any questions or if you want to drop any in the chat. But I also do want to encourage businesses that perhaps don't have physical products to find ways to pivot payments online. So examples can be a deposit for an appointment, downloads available on your site, pre-orders for pickup, pre-registration for an event, payments, payment portal for using outstanding invoices, access to courses or video content. So in other words, I want you to take a good look at your business and think of creative ways to simplify actually closing a sale. The easier that you make it for people to give you their money, the easier you're going to get money. So behind the screen can be a comfortable way for a lot of consumers to commit, but you have to give them the tool to get there. So now I said that this tip is actually about creating a strategy. So let's talk about e-commerce marketing. E-commerce marketing is a multi-platform approach. Your goal is to create strategies that create effortless inbound marketing to your website. So this ties back to number 3, the conversion journey, and also to number 2, making a plan. Use the template of the marketing calendar to talk about what platforms you'll be using and batch schedule ahead so that you're talking about the same message on all of the platforms. But pro tip, don't just use the same post on every channel. Different segments of your customers hang out in different platforms. Each platform should have its own strategy. So you won't get the same customers on TikTok as you will on LinkedIn, but maybe you'll have the same clients in both segments. Just personalize. And optimization channels that you can use for your e-commerce marketing: Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, email, blogging, pay-per-click ads. These are all ways to drag people to your e-commerce site that you should be talking the same message throughout. So that leads to tip number 5, which is to stop the automated overload. In the chat, tell us if you're using any automations. While I know I touched earlier on automated scheduling in point number 2 as a good thing, it cannot be your only marketing strategy. You need to personalize, segment your message, and it needs to be authentic. So let's talk about alternative marketing strategies. I call these alternative because they aren't the immediate pieces that you think about when SEO marketing comes to mind. Every business can cut their clients into at least 2 segments, but I'm suggesting for you to sit down and try and find as many as possible. I again have a free download on my site called the Customer Avatar that you can create these personas. Just go to www.creativedsm.com and go to the download section. Okay. And then from there, fill it out, figure out what their pain point is, what channel they're hanging out on, and go find them there. For example, if I'm a B2B healthcare provider, my initial thought is I want to sell to the CEO or COO. I would want to educate them on how they can save money on their company healthcare plan. But I could also possibly cut a segment out for admin, an admin that is tasked with searching online for some solutions to present to the executive team and make the next step. Another segment could be the actual employees. Educate them how your plan could get them better care. Maybe then they're searching and they can bring it to the executive team. You'll notice each segment has a different purpose for engaging with your company, which means one needs to be a specific message that addresses their pain point. So once you identify these customer segments, you'll next want to identify these channels. I encourage you to look at out-of-the-box ways to find these clients. Another plug is to make sure that you're attending local events, such as this webinar right now, right? Go back through this chat, add people on LinkedIn, ask for coffee, and get connected into their network. Next is to explore print media. We're overloaded with digital communication, and some people still really value the touch of something physical. So make a physical brochure or even a direct mail. Add a QR code into it so that you're actually getting people to visit your site and measure the results of this direct mailer. Make that QR code go to a unique landing page so that, again, you can go back to your analytics, see how many people have been visiting that page, and you will know the ROI of that actual campaign, or I should say ROAS, return on ad spend. By the way, Copycat Prints recently moved to a new shop on Ingersoll, and they are offering 30% off your first print with them. So you can get new business cards, postcards, brochures, direct mailers, window clings. I'm happy to connect you with them if you'd like. Just mention that you were at the Iowa Center presentation with Andi, and they can give you 30% off of your first print. So another method is direct messaging. Now, direct messaging, what I'm talking about is on social platforms to help drag people to interact with your company. So this one is a tricky point. In no way, shape, or form am I advising you to randomly message people that you don't know with a pitch. Do not be that person. If you're on Instagram, you know what I'm talking about. You get DMs all the time asking, hey, I have this package for you. Just click here and I'll sign you up for 700 followers. Do not do that. what I do want you to do is to warm a lead by leading them to DM you. So follow someone on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, comment when they post something relevant. Tag them if you purchase something from them. Get in front of their purview and lead them to making the reach out to you. Comment on their posts saying that it's very interesting or that looks delicious. Just get ways to get in front of their face. So I'm not going to lie, this is time consuming, but it's a tried and true strategy that I have successfully used. But again, do not go DMing them with a pitch. Don't be that overly salesy guy. Instead, just be the creepy stalker. Just kidding. Just be the loyal fan follower. And then that leads to tip number 6. And this might be confusing for SEO, but it is the greatest way to get local SEO. And that's to make partnerships locally. So always look local first. This is something that I like to preach with Creative DSM. Looking local not only saves time, it can save money when you factor in shipping costs, but even more so, it can create a recurring partnership revenue. These partners can become your loyal fans that are personally posting about you. Their business is giving you the valuable backlinks, and they can be driving their customers to you. Often, we equate buying local with closing off access to great deals at large chains or spending more money within our community's footprint. But in reality, shopping local can start small with conscious decisions to support a business in your area that is owned by a member of the community. It isn't purchasing products or services that aren't competitive. It's investing in partners within the community who may already have a specific product or service. So at Creative DSM, we encourage our network to network with other members whenever possible. So make sure that you check the business directories of your local Chamber of Commerce, the TSB, and reach out to the Iowa Center. They're always happy to connect you with a resource. You may be surprised at the categories of our local members can offer. So I'm not the first to preach that shopping locally benefits our community. There are multiple studies that shows buying locally not only improves our community in the way of tax dollars, but it also helps us build a local supply chain and fund more local nonprofit organizations. Choosing to buy local in Des Moines means that you're strengthening our local job market, increasing the variety of businesses that are able to serve and survive, and nurturing what makes Des Moines unique. So another great way to look local first is to focus on local shouldering industries. Shouldering industries are another company that is not a direct competitor, but shares your ideal client. So a really good example is the wedding industry, right? When you're getting married, you need an event venue, you need a caterer, you need a dress, you need a tux, you need flowers, you need a photographer, you need a videographer. I'm listing these out, and all of these people have the same ideal client, but aren't actually competitors. So when all of these people work together and create backlinks to each other, create a way to funnel their clients over to the others, you're creating a local partnership that is actually going to help your SEO and your bottom line. So again, I can't preach enough to look local first when it comes to marketing your business. So let's make marketing human again. And that is my presentation. I am happy to take any questions at this time. I see somebody is using Hootsuite. Awesome. And hired a second social media firm. Cool. Awesome. And that's for Jumpy Monkey. Okay, yeah. Cool.
All right, I was still taking notes. I have a few questions that have come in. I'm going to start with sort of broad strokes and then go a little bit more detailed from there.
Okay.
One that came in is what is one way you suggest to get people into the door of your business, your website?
So if we're talking the door to the website, it's definitely SEO, right? You want to rank when people are searching for you. So again, it goes back to the conversion journey. You have to figure out where they are in the process, but you also want to talk to all of the different processes, because there might be somebody that already knows of the solution that you sell, but they may not understand that you're the right person, right? So that's where it's very important to keep a multi-channel lead list going on, so that you're actually getting people into the door of your website, because the first website visit is not always the one where they convert. You want to drive them back constantly, and so that they see, hey, this person is actually giving me relevant information that talks about my pain points. Oh, they're actually better than the competitor because they do this, that, and whatever. And then, oh, look at this review that my friend just posted. Now is my time that I'm actually going to click on this social media post because my friend just said that she bought an amazing something from this person, and I am going to convert now as a customer.
So after you've brought them in, you have an initial relationship. Is that the right time to start getting them on your newsletter, hitting them with emails, and kind of in addition to that, how often is too often there? what's the right middle ground for, because as you said, helping people understand that you are the right person, not just that you have, or you're generally in the industry like that. It feels like that's the way to personalize a little bit more and give them more detailed information instead of relying on them to click around on your website.
Yep,
Or is
absolutely.
all of that?
So one thing that I like to do there is I sign them up for different newsletter lists depending on what page that they're on, because I know what part of the journey that they're in. There's no one answer for every single industry or every single product saying how often that you can contact people. It also depends on how big your product and service line is. If there is relevant things that you can talk about weekly, it's kind of okay to talk to them weekly. But if it's, you build houses, you're not going to be talking to them weekly. And if you are, you're going to get lots of unsubscribes, right? So you want to hit them where they're at. So definitely segment the list out to what part of the journey that they're in, and then increase the communication as you see that they're actually opening. Follow your open rate, and then segment for people who actually open and people who are not, so that they're on different journeys. And you can do that through a lot of like automation, email marketing, MailChimp, ConvertKit. You can do that on, why am I blanking? Constant Contact and HubSpot.
You brought up a great point about networking, and I just want to reiterate that how important it is in a setting like this. No matter where you're at in public, reach out to everybody else that's there. You never know. You come across someone and you say, oh, they sell coffee, for instance, Lori. Someone might say, well, that's not really related to my industry, but you never know, what all the rest of their experiences and their expertise and their insight. It may not just be coffee. They may have some really good insight on marketing or supply chain or cash flow or whatever. Reach out to everybody, make those connections. The worst case is you met a new person.
Yeah.
Right.
I think that's a great point, especially when it comes to business owners, is that they wear multiple hats. So they can have so many connections when it comes to your finances, when it comes to your marketing, when it comes to HR, when it comes to leasing a building, right? One of my biggest hangups when I was moving from Los Angeles to Miami is that I graduated in fashion, and I thought that I could only market fashion. So I had a heck of a time trying to find how I was going to move to Miami and work in the same industry. And I took a chance and went to the consumer technology space. And I realized that the things that I knew how to market fashion was the same way as you market multiple other things. I have a concrete contractor and a florist. And surprisingly enough, they have the same strategies that can work in the same ways. Because it's all about guiding customers through your journey. Once you learn who your ideal customer is, it's a lot of the same motions. So it's great to network with other business owners or other people in your space that you can talk about, not even in the same industry.
Very well said. And I like to add to that, you talking about adjacent vendors in your field, not your competitors, but people who have a pretty good overlap in target market. You talked about chambers of commerce and backlinks, and obviously getting in touch with people like that in your related fields for those backlinks will also help. Can you talk a little bit more on what that landing page should look like ideally? I know it's going to be subjective for different industries, for different clients, but just in general, like what are maybe the top 2 or 3 things about you and your company that need to be right there front and center?
Yep, absolutely. So there's a lot of professional directories. There's a lot of like partnerships and stuff like that. But you mentioned landing pages, and I think that is a great idea. Whenever you're getting a backlink, is to create a unique landing page for that backlink. For instance, I get a backlink from Catch DSM because I'm one of their marketing partners. So what I do is I have a Catch DSM landing page that they have a unique link to, and it talks about the things that people that are visiting Catch DSM care about. So what Catch DSM is it's a tourism arm, right? So I am putting my clients on there that might be relevant when it comes to people visiting Iowa. So if they're coming in for business, I have some B2B resources in there. If they're coming just to relax, I have a salon in there. If they're coming to print something, I have that space. I have meeting spaces. So it depends on where the link is coming from to make sure that you're tailoring to what it is, because people that are visiting Catch DSM don't necessarily care about creative DSM. What they care about is the clients that I have. And that's the reason why I'm one of the marketing partners with Catch DSM, is to help my clients. A different source would be, the Chamber of Commerce. I have a unique one for each Chamber of Commerce that I'm a member of, and it talks about why I'm a member of that chamber, what exclusive deals that I give to that chamber's members, who I am, why I'm the best source, and what pain points I speak to. So I would say that it always depends on where the backlink is coming from. But again, it goes back to segmenting your message to whatever the people that are clicking on that link care about. There's also another piece of this backlink strategy is to get some keywords within the link, right? So you don't always want to have the link just being an underlined one that says visit site here, right? Visit site here doesn't give any type of keyword strategy to people leading to your site. So instead, I would want for that company to say, for marketing tips, go here. And then that's the backlink. That's the link that I actually wanted to show, and then to lead to my website, if that makes sense. I don't know if I explained that well enough.
No, that was perfect. And I love when a good transition happens. My next question was about keywords. If you've ever put them together, I worked a little bit on this in the banking industry before I came to the Iowa Center. It always seemed like, as a complete layman, it always seemed like we were just kind of guessing. I don't know, maybe this will work. And you put like 200 of them in and hope that one of them hits. Is that a legitimate strategy? Do you just go for quantity over quality? Or is there any sort of science that goes into creating a narrow band of more useful keywords
Mhm.
rather than the
So I would say it kind of depends on where you are in the journey. Of course, at first there is going to be some trial and error. So I wouldn't say that that's a horrible strategy to do. But there is a lot of like keyword research that you can tap into. If you are doing paid ads already on Google, then you can use the keyword search tool within there, and you can see how many people are actually searching for that a month, right? You can use Uber Suggest. I actually have a download on my site that is an Excel sheet that you can kind of gather how to talk about your keywords. So it starts very easily like, okay, what are your services? You're going to fill that out. And then you talk about what are the synonyms to this? And then you fill that out, because you can get so lost in the jargon of what you refer it to internally that you forget what people are actually searching for, right? And then, so once you get that list whole down, then the next tab is talking about, okay, what solutions am I providing? You tag that down. And then you say, okay, what are the synonyms of what people are searching? Then you tag that down. Then it all fills it out into a keyword spreadsheet. And from there, then you type those into the keyword search tool. And then you see, which ones are low hanging fruit. Maybe they cost a little bit less, or maybe the competition is lower. And then which ones do you actually want to rank for, but maybe too high of competition, right? So you want to focus on the low hanging fruit, and then the mediums, and then really tap into those big ones if you're doing an aggressive approach. So it's making things attainable, and focusing on things that people are actually looking for, and making sure that you don't get lost in the jargon. But the first step is always to do the organization of it. So
That's such a great point of thinking like a consumer who doesn't know the vocabulary of your industry. Because as a subject matter expert, I did the same thing at the bank. I was putting in a lot of things that were like, well, this is technically correct. And it's like nobody knows who doesn't work at a bank knows what technically correct is for bank jargon. So
yeah. What was it? Oh, my concrete contractor. One of the headings of a landing page that I did, I put cement on it, and he was like, "Oh, people are going to make fun of me for putting cement on here." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, but people are actually searching for that." Like they don't always know the difference between concrete and cement. They don't always know like what's best. So you have to do what people are actually searching for. And luckily it was a big payout page. So I convinced.
whatever works, right?
Yep.
Okay, I have two more questions. This one could be very expansive, so answer however much of it you'd like. But when it comes to analytics, you open up even Google Analytics, they do a decent job of kind of dumbing it down for people like me.
Mm-hmm.
That said, it is a pretty overwhelming amount of data. So
Yeah.
what do you look at? What do you look for? And how do you get a little better at that? Maybe this is more of a what resources can help in that regards, rather than actually going through all of it.
Yeah. So you can actually get Google Analytics certified through Google for free. So that's definitely, if you're willing to take the time, I think that it's a great thing to go through, even if you don't always stay up to date on your certification. To at least do it once might be a great idea. I guess the top tools that I would say are in there for like non-marketers would be the behavior flow chart. And that tells you what people are coming in on and what page they're clicking to next and where the drop off is. I would also look at the the campaign sources to see what channels are actually bringing in visitors, so that you know where they're coming from and what type of clients are coming in so that you know what platforms to invest in. You always want to look at bounce rate because you want to make sure that people aren't just, visiting your site and then dropping off immediately. And then you're going to want to make sure that you're checking out. It's another great one. I mean, visitors is always a great one. The front page is going to be your visitors and how many compared to last month. So it's always a great one to do. So.
Excellent. I have one more question for you. SEO, marketing related, or just general life advice. What's the one thing that you want everyone to take away today?
Watch your analytics. Yeah, everything is about analytics because your time is valuable. Especially I go back to the fact that most of you aren't marketers, you're business owners that are wearing multiple hats, right? So you want to know that your time is spent somewhere where it's actually making a difference. So just because somebody says that you're supposed to be on a certain platform, or just because it feels like the right thing to do, doesn't necessarily mean that it's the right thing for your business. So it's important to watch the analytics, but also to give it some time. Analytics isn't something that you can log in tomorrow and see a huge changeover. So it's about watching them over a long period of time. I would say at least 3 months to test something new out. So watch the analytics and follow that and be able to pivot with it.
A bit of patience and a bit of belief.
Yeah. Law of attraction, right?
Okay, that's it for me. That's all the questions I had. Andi Fagen, thank you so much for joining us. As always, it's a pleasure. A reminder to everybody that we will send out a follow-up email with a little bit of this information. I took some notes. I hope everybody else did. We'll share a couple of the resources mentioned. And until next week, where we talk about leadership and company culture. Andi, thanks again. Thanks everybody for joining us. Have a great day.
Bye.